Every week, we set new standards for internet radio greatness. It is the Mike Sasson Show, broadcasting live from the Millvale Studios here in beautiful Millvale, Pennsylvania, here at the Mr. Smalls Theater Studios. If you ever want to get really great acoustics and a great show, if you ever see a band coming to the Mr. Smalls Theater, make sure you take a gander at it because it's a great venue to also listen to internet radio. My name is Mike Sasson. I am the host of the Mike Sasson Show here on the River's Edge at www.riversedgepgh.com, where you do listen to not only great talk like the Mike Sasson Show, but also other great podcasts, internet radio shows, so enjoy them throughout the week. Also, you listen to great local music as well. That's the great thing about it. Like, if you listen to any of the terrestrial radio stations, they literally only have 7 songs. Hey, listen, 7 songs, that's all you get. If you don't like one of those 7 songs, you're SOL. They don't care. They've done the research. They feel that people only like 7 songs. But here at the River's Edge, you get the best local music, and you'll never hear the same song twice. That's what's incredible about it. Alex is cracking open a beer. Don't you have to be quiet about it?
That was like probably the best sound for people.
That's right. You have to listen to that sound. You got to listen to that massive because it's always a good sound when you hear it. That's one thing I always love is that sometimes there's certain sounds that we've all heard 1,000 times, but you always are going to get like a reaction whenever you hear that like that opening
Everyone's
of a beer.
Everyone's just happy after that.
But the funny thing is when you have one, like sometimes I open something up and it's like everyone always looks at, they'll look at what it is. Like, mostly in my case, it's a Diet Coke, but they'll sit there and they'll be like, oh, I need to get me a Diet Coke. I would enjoy a Diet Soda. And I always feel pressure because I'm like, I don't want to give you a Diet Soda. That means there's less for me. But, you know what? That's how it works. Anyways, you might have heard her over there. That is the greatest producer in the history of internet radio. It's Alex, Super Producer Clemens. That's her official name. You've changed your name, right?
Yeah, legally.
Legally to Alex Super Producer Clemens at the River's Edge. She is a first ballot Internet Radio Hall of Famer. If you ever want to visit the Internet Radio Hall of Fame, it is currently outside of a Rack's Roast Beef outside of Boulder, Colorado. They move it around the country to make sure that everyone gets to just get in the aura of greatness, which is internet radio. Now, here's the thing about it. Like, you have to go into the Internet Radio Hall of Fame theater, and it's like you're in internet radio. Like, it's amazing. Like, it's almost one of those IMAX things. Like, you sit there, and the screen is huge, and it shows the history of internet radio. And afterwards, you just know that you're a better person. You ever just visit something or see something, and you just know that you're a better human being because you saw it?
Yeah, this show every week.
But also another way that I do this, like I perform all over the area in stand-up comedy. And one of the funnest parts about my job is especially this time of year when it's like the late, now it's like 3 p.m, but it's like the late 4 or 5 o'clock. The sun's still up, and you're driving through rural western Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and you just see that fall foliage, and you're driving past it, and it's one of those feelings that you almost miss something as you're seeing it. Like, you're sitting there going, I'm watching something that's amazing. I'm seeing something that's so beautiful, and that's one of those great moments when you're driving. Like, I don't mind sometimes driving the long comedy shows, like comedy shows away, because I know I'm going to see some great stuff like that.
Aww.
And I think it makes you a better person. So this weekend, I was actually in Franklin, Pennsylvania. And the weird thing about doing comedy for as long as I've had now is I'm now starting to go to places for a second or third time. Like, I actually have played this venue that I played up in Franklin for like the 3rd time, and it's like the 5th time I've played Franklin. So I made a joke where I sat there and go, hey, if I say a joke you've heard before, just laugh anyway and remember you were probably drunk anyway. But something happened this week at this show, which was amazing. It was a VFW show. That stands for Volunteer Fire Department. Actually, it's a VFD show then. VFW is Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Okay.
So I think they had it at VFW, but it was for the fire department.
Okay. Either way.
Either way, it was the reason why it was weird was because during the show I was backstage and the fire alarm went off.
Oh.
You figure at so many shows that I've done at like volunteer fire departments that eventually the fire alarm would go off, but it finally happened. Someone's stuff was burning down, and all the volunteer firemen who were in the audience had to run out and get their shit on and get the hell out of there.
That's like a great place, like, to have a fire go off.
Well, the fire wasn't actually at the place. It was somewhere else.
Oh, so they all had to leave.
They all had to leave the comedy show. But they already seen me, so they had seen the best part.
Right.
So they weren't that mad. They ran by me, and they're like, hey.
Was there anyone left after them?
Well, no one to run the show. It was like their wives had to run their shows. It was like all the men went off to war, and then all the wives were like, they literally, like the wife of the head of the volunteer fire department came up to me and was like, well, I guess I'm in charge now. So, I mean, I guess you got to work through me and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat.
That was all her plan the whole time. She just wanted to be in charge. So she set off a fire alarm.
She set someone's shed on fire.
Yeah.
That's what she did.
Yeah.
The other cool thing that happened at the show, and it's something that's happening more and more often, a bunch of people afterwards wanted to take pictures with me.
Oh.
And I always think that's...
Are you famous now?
I don't know. I think really what happens is that they want a memento of the evening, and I don't have merch because I'm too lazy and I don't want to carry around like bags of T-shirts, and I don't really care about CDs anymore because it's 2018, so I'm not going to do that.
If I got you like just a bunch of T-shirts with your face on them, would you sell them to people?
What would they say? Just like a picture of me, just like...
That's it.
If I said like a picture of me and on the back it said obese male monthly sexiest man alive, maybe.
Maybe it's just like your face, but it's in like a wine glass, you know, so that you can have it be like a glass of sass.
A glass of sass.
Yeah, and your face in a wine glass.
It has to be. Here's the key to great merch. It has to be a T-shirt that you'd wear anyway.
Right.
It has to be like, that's why sometimes like some people just get shirts that say like, you know, choose life, or, you know, something weird where they go, oh, you know, they just, it says something funny or whatever. Like, I've always thought that it'd be cool to say, you know, like the last thing where I say, wait, the Earth's a big blue ball that's spinning through an infinite universe, and I want to be the SS-11, I want to be your captain.
Yeah.
I think that would be neat if it was on the back of a T-shirt and it just had like the Earth in front of it, and it just said SS Love.
Cute.
That'd be cute. People would wear that because it had nothing to do with me.
Right.
Or somebody one time, like a comedian, just went out and bought a bunch of white T-shirts from Walmart. And he goes, yeah, I have T-shirts in the back. And someone goes, yeah, I'll get a T-shirt. And he just handed him a white T-shirt and signed it.
Yeah.
And he charged him like $20.
But they would wear the white T-shirt.
Yeah, or the other idea someone had is like, hey, I have CDs in the back, and they're just a bunch of Hall & Oates CDs.
Yes.
And they're just like, yeah, it's just CDs for my car.
Yeah.
And people are like, ooh, okay. I listen to Hall & Oates on the way home.
Everyone listens to Hall & Oates.
Everyone. That's a rule. Have you ever met? Like, there's certain things. I'll get to this because I saw this cool video about this guy talking about what people really want when they get into, like, first dates or with relationships. We could even talk about it because you're going to talk about a weird first date that you had later. That's a tease if you didn't know that in the radio biz. Anyways, so... one thing that I think would be kind of cool is, like, people want to be their authentic selves. That's the whole point. I forget what I was about to say.
Because of Hall & Oates?
Of Hall & Oates, because people, I think that certain things that, like, people want to, when they listen to, like, Rich Girl, they want to be able to, like, rock out to it and not pretend like, oh, this is okay. Like, you got to be able to, like, go, no, I love this. This is Man-Eater. This is the bass line to Man-Eater. This is a great tune.
Yeah.
Like, if a dude, like, if you were in a car with a dude, and all of a sudden Man-Eater came on, and you were just, like, jamming, and he gave you, like, a look like, oh, you like Hall & Oates? I think that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, you just push him out of the car.
Yeah. Even if it's his car and he's driving.
Yep.
You just get the hell out of here. If you don't like freaking My Kiss Is on My Lips, get out of there. What kind of animal are you? What other bands? Okay, Hall & Oates. What other bands are in that category where you'd sit there and say, if you don't like blank, we got a problem?
That's hard, because universally loved bands, I think, are pretty difficult.
I'm thinking of bands. It's certain songs that I would sit there and say, okay, answer it. I mean, like we talk about comment your ass off. Comment on any band or song that if it comes on, if someone doesn't like it, you've got a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's like certain songs that I have that I love.
Like, give me some.
Like Burn by Usher. That's one of my favorite songs in the whole world.
Okay.
But I wouldn't judge someone for not liking it.
Well, see, that's the difference. I want a song that someone like, I mean, like, again, I like Metallica and Guns N' Roses. If you don't dig them, I get it. But, like, if you don't like, if you don't like a good Motown song,
yeah,
then I would be like, okay, maybe you have no soul. I wouldn't dig that.
Yeah, like what's it called? What's that song called? Ain't No Mountain High Enough? Like
that's a good one. Yeah, any Aretha Franklin song or something like that.
Yeah.
Any like Marvin Gaye, if some Marvin Gaye comes on and you're not jamming a Marvin Gaye, I would sit there and say, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. We talked about Saturday Night Fever last night. If like a good like Disco Inferno comes on and you're not moving a little bit, just moving a little. I'm not saying you have to like it, but you just kind of like do. Like that'd be like,
gotta
okay.
Move.
Yeah, you got to move to that. I'll give you another one, and I listened to it today, and you know what? I'm masculine enough to say it. Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way, or whatever that song.
Yeah,
That's
real hard not to like at least like move a little bit, or like you have to sing some of those
yeah,
words.
if you don't sit there and listen to that song, like, okay, that's a good pop song.
Yeah.
That's a quality pop song.
Yeah.
If you don't like the movie, I don't know, man. Like, I was about to say Goodfellas, but I can see if you think that's a little too violent.
Yeah.
If you don't like Godfather, I'd be like, okay, I got a little bit of a problem with you.
What if you've never seen it, though?
Then that's something we share.
Oh, okay.
That's something we share. Like, I don't really care even if you don't like football or sports. I get it. If I'm to the point where 99% of things I get if you don't like, but if there's something that brings joy, like any sort of happy, joyful song, if you're like happy and joyful, and really what you're saying, if you like look at someone in a cross-eyed because they like a happy, joyful song, is you're really just unhappy that they're joyful and they're full of just love and in their hearts.
Yeah,
and that's not something you want to spend your life with.
I do that all the time.
What? Be happy?
To people. No.
That you're
I'm
not
the
happy when
opposite
they're
side.
joyful?
Yeah, I have to be the happy one.
When have you been mad at someone because they were the happy one?
All the time.
Give me the most recent situation.
Someone was very much enjoying Christmas music today.
And you were just like, I hate you that you're so much.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
already watching Christmas movies. It's like I'm not
if you hate Christmas songs, we discussed this last week. If you hate Christmas songs on Christmas Eve, then I got a problem with you.
Right.
But if it's November 10th or whatever that today was, then I don't have a problem with you. It might be a little bit too early. Speaking of a band that had a lot of happy songs, if you hate the Beatles, if you hate them,
I don't think anyone really hates the Beatles. I think that they just say that they hate the Beatles because they don't want to be part of like the norm. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good percentage of people that like sit there who dislike certain bands.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if you listened, like I don't know, you didn't like Van Halen.
No.
I would sit there and say if you listen to Jump and you're not like dun, 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 dun. I feel that it's joyful, it's a happy song, and you're a little bit like, okay, you're just a little too cynical for your own good. But speaking of the Beatles, one of the things I was cool with, I saw this clip from an interview that Paul McCartney did recently with Howard Stern. And I sent it to you because I knew we were going to, I thought it was interesting, and maybe I was shocked by it, maybe you wouldn't be. The Beatles have grown into a level to where people believe that they're almost deities.
Yeah.
Like that they were just magical beings sent to this world to create unbelievable music, and that they weren't people. That's one of the biggest things that I always sit there and have a problem with when anybody treats any other human being and don't understand that that's a person. And like a lot of times whenever I sit there and someone goes, why does XYZ do this? You kind of go, okay, well, let's take it to the point of that this is a human being. And when you're a human being, there's going to be some stuff wrong with you, and life treated you a certain way, and you can kind of go from there. So Paul McCartney was being interviewed by Howard Stern. And Howard was going by the line that pretty much is the standard line about the Beatles, that they were innovators, and they were innovators just because they were just the most special people that had ever existed. And so they just could create a whole new music because they were sitting there going, let's create a whole new music. Let's change the world for the better. And Paul McCartney, which I thought was cool of him, sat there and looked at Howard. He goes, well, do you really want to know the truth of it? We're a bunch of kids from a poor part of Liverpool that wanted to make a lot of money and get laid.
Yeah.
Was those his exact
literally.
words? And when I saw that, I was just like, thank you.
For being truthful.
Thank you for breaking through the bullshit and kind of sitting there and saying your favorite band were a bunch of guys, human beings, that got together, had an opportunity to make a shitload of money. They were from a poor area. That's one thing that I always feel that people don't get about some of the old-time rock and roll musicians. The Beatles were not wealthy. That's one of the things that one of the reasons why, like I remember I told you about this documentary about how the Beatles changed everything. And I was kind of cynical. I'm like, they didn't change everything. But the Beatles were one of the first people in English society that, because of their own talent, raised to a level to where they were almost bigger than the Queen.
Yeah.
And that was a huge development. And that's why so many other people, like people sit there and go, why were there so many rock stars out of England? It's because if you were a lower class kid from a crappy place in England, an industrial town, there was no way to become super rich and famous. But then all of a sudden you see these four kids from a similar background of you, and you sit there and say, there's the ticket. So let's do that. And that's essentially like Ozzy Osbourne talks about it all the time. He was dirt poor living in Birmingham, England. And he sat there and goes, when I saw the Beatles, I was like, that's it. That's what I got to do.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I
Robert
can get
Plant was from wasn't from London. He was from the northern part of England. And he was the same way. He was like, John Bonham was working construction, and then that's what these were. So like when they talk about hip hop stars and wanting to make money and all this other kind of stuff, and like, oh, that's not how it used to be. No, that's exactly how it used to be. That's exactly what the Beatles were.
Yeah.
They just weren't maybe as overt as everyone else. So I thought that was cool. Then the other thing that there was another interview that Paul McCartney did recently, and the person was trying to like get into his deeper like meaning and the deeper relationship between him and John. And so he goes, so did John ever tell you that your music was like your songs that you wrote were good? And he sit there and goes, occasionally, And he goes, well, were you competitive? And his eyes lit up. He goes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, like, when he wrote Strawberry Fields, that was a song about our hometown. So I wrote Penny Lane because that's another song about our hometown.
Yeah.
And so it kind of dawned on me. It was like these guys, and the reason why, like I always have this joke about the fact that these guys wrote these great songs for like 6 or 7 years. And then for basically most of his life, especially Paul McCartney, never came close to how great those songs were. But the reason is because he was competitive.
Yeah.
He was competitive against this other guy. Again, it goes back to he was a human being.
Yeah.
He was in this group. He had this really talented person, and this really talented person would show up to the recording studio going, "Hey, I got this great song." They create the song, and he'd be like, "Well, I can't let him upstage me. I got to go write another great song."
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a competitiveness that you have to have, but you can't like let it get the best of you. Like if he would have been so competitive that he completely turned against him, then it wouldn't have worked. But like having people around you, you're like, this person is super talented. It makes me want to be a better person. I think that's a good competitiveness.
Well, I think ultimately that's probably, if they're being honest, what actually broke up the group eventually is they did get to a point to where they did get so adversarial that it was something like, okay, we're too big in this whole thing, and we have to kind of split up because as an entity, I want to go in my own direction.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting in a sense that, like, again, if someone said, like, how do you be great at something? Step one, have basic motivations. I want to make money. I want to get laid. That's what he wanted. That's why the Beatles happened. That's why they kept going. And then also, I know that this guy's going to write a great song, so I got to write a great song. It's just like in comedy. Anytime I go to a show, I want to rise to the level of everyone else that's at the show. And I hope that you sit there and say, okay, in this show, you know what, Mike's going to work hard, so I'm going to have to be prepared. And I know that I sit there and I go, Alex is going to be prepared, and Alex is going to have great segments, which is why I'm prepared. So again, what did the Beatles teach us? It's not about high-mindedness. It's not about that they were deities. Yes, they were talented, but they were human beings. They wanted money. They wanted to get laid. They were competitive as fuck. That's how you become great. And that's how you write songs that if you don't like and you hate, I might have a problem with you. That's how it works. Again, we're going to be back with Alex's bar thoughts and experiences. Apparently, something weird happened in Alex's private life. You want to listen to it. It's coming up next on The Mike Sasson Show on The River's Edge, where you can listen to The River's Edge on www.riversedgepgh.com, where you listen to the best local music and the best shows on internet radio. My name's Mike Sasson. We'll be right back.
Brian Crawford letting you know that Kevin Slogic, my State Farm agent, in Allison Park is here to help life go right and reminds you that you're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network.
You're listening to The River's Edge at www.riversedgepgh.com. It is the Mike Sasson Show. My headphones are now fully... If it sounded weird, I don't know how it sounded.
It didn't sound weird.
It didn't sound weird. It sounded weird to me. It's weird how... Like, you ever watch a concert and they talk about, like, that their monitors are down? What the monitor is them listening to themselves. So if you ever see a concert, sometimes they'll talk about that they'll go, hey, my monitor or this other kind. What they're saying is I can't hear myself, which makes it to where it makes the timing a little bit off. I got to tell you a story about headphones, which is kind of weird. So when I was on Q92.9, Jim Crenshaw, our first show was Monday morning, 6 a.m. in July. We had practiced for it. It was all this kind of stuff, and it was going to be, Jim Cren's first show coming back, and we were prepared and all this other kind of stuff. And so the first segment comes on, and the big opening, and they had this big opening that sounded like Saturday Night Live and all this kind of stuff. And then it hit, and no one could hear themselves on their headphones.
Oh, no.
It turns out that someone had hit the cough button. And so it put it on a 7-second delay. So for the first segment, like if you listen to it, you hear us, like Jim starts to talk and whatever. And so we had to take off our headphones to do the segment.
Yeah.
Because the headphones were 7 seconds behind everything else.
Well, that's confusing.
Yes, very confusing. So it was a great start for that first segment on the show. But you know what is a great segment? It's when Alex drinks, then writes down her deepest, darkest, most intimate thoughts. She calls them bar thoughts and experiences with Alex. Alex, play your theme song.
Maybe y'all can relate. My style's dope any way that you slice it. It's a fresh cut, hope that you like it.
Pizza is amazing. Pizza is an incredible thing. It really is. That song's a love letter to pizza. It's an incredible, like sometimes you forget how good pizza is, and then you have a good slice of pizza, and you're like, no, this is amazing.
I go through phases, to be honest.
I think I'm in a pro pizza phase. Sometimes I go through hoagie phases.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in a what I'm doing now is I go to a Giant Eagle, and there's like these kits to where you can make your own meal.
Yeah.
And I do that now because I feel like I'm all like Cooking Network thingies.
You're like a chef.
Yeah. It's really easy because they show you step by, which is real. Okay, I got a bone to pick. Anybody who sits there and says, "Oh, I can't cook," basically what you're saying is, "I can't follow directions."
Yes.
Because that's all cooking is. If you follow the directions and you have what they ask you to have, and you know the tools and all that kind of stuff, then if you say you can't cook, really it comes down to I'm too impatient to actually listen to directions. So. Again, that's something I would say, like, that's one of those things like, oh, I can't cook. If you say you can't cook, then I would sit there and say, well, maybe we should work on your reading comprehension. Anyways,
Anyways.
Alex, your bar thought and experience for this week. Go for it.
All right. So I went on a Tinder date yesterday.
Okay. Now, just for the kids out there who don't know what Tinder date is, it means you met somebody, you matched, the guy said, hey, what's going on? And you said, nothing much. Let's go out to the movies and get a malt shop and get a malt. And you were like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds cool. We'll listen to the rock and roll. And it goes from there.
Yeah, we started talking on Saturday, and I said, do you want to get a drink tomorrow? And then he said yes, and then we did.
Boom.
That
win.
was it. That's
Very
all
good.
my thoughts.
Awesome. And then you went. Yeah, that was it. That's the segment.
Okay,
Moving on.
bye.
Then you wore your poodle skirt. I don't know how dates work. Go ahead.
Yeah, clearly. So I went on this Tinder date with this boy. Let's call him Bob. And I met him at a bar in Southside called Carmela's. I'd never been there before.
Okay.
So I met him at this bar.
Describe the bar.
It's a cute little cocktail bar. There was
Okay.
live music playing.
Okay, cool.
So it's a very small bar though.
Okay.
There's not a lot of room for people.
All right.
So we sat down, got a drink, and started talking for a while and stuff like that. And then these two girls come in, and they came up to him and they were like, "You look really familiar." And he was like, "No." And he was like, they were like, "Okay, sorry for bothering you," and went back to where they were sitting. And he was like, that was weird. And then these two other people walk into the bar, and after a couple of minutes of being there, walk up to him, and they're like, "You look really familiar. Do we know you?" And he was like, "No, I don't know you." And so these people go and sit back down. They're like, "Sorry for bothering you." And then this guy comes up to him and was like, "Hey, dude, I don't want to interrupt you or anything, but would you mind taking a selfie with me?" So the guy that I was with, Bob, was like, "Yeah, I guess. Okay." And so I took the picture for them, and that guy went to sit back down, and I was like, "What's happening? Why are all these people coming up to you?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't know if they're mistaking me for someone or what, but this is really awkward. I'm sorry." And then another guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, I saw that you took a selfie with that guy. Would you mind if you took one with me?" And by this time, Bob was getting a little bit annoyed.
Agitated, yeah.
And so he was like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you really want to, it's fine." And I took a picture of them, and that guy went to sit back down. And I was like, this is really weird. This is a lot of people. And then someone came up to him and asked him for his autograph. And I was like, what is happening? And all these things were going through my mind. I was like, what if this dude is famous and I have no idea? What if he plays sports? I don't know anyone who plays sports. He doesn't look like it, but maybe.
You don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
And he was really pretty, so maybe he could be a famous person.
Okay.
And so he was like, yeah, I guess I'll give you my autograph. That's fine. And that guy went to sit back down after he gave him his autograph. And he was like, I thought this wouldn't happen in Pittsburgh. He was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. So he goes to the bathroom. This guy comes up to me and says, do you know who you're with? And I was like, no. What do you mean? And he was like, so you have no idea who he is? And I was like, no, I don't. And that guy just left and went to sit back down to this whole group of people that's literally sitting right next to us, behind us, while we're having a normal conversation. After each time a person would come up to us, he would just try and go back into our conversation that we were having. And I couldn't even think of what he was saying because all these things are running through my mind. And so I was also thinking about, so on Tinder, his name was spelled wrong. And I was like, what if he is a famous person and he spelled his name wrong on Tinder and his pictures didn't give away too much. I was like, what if he is a famous person? That's why there's these things on his Tinder. So he came back from the bathroom and I was like, can we get out of here? Can we go to another bar? So we closed our tab, left the bar. And as soon as we left, I was like, what's happening? You have to tell me the truth of what's going on right now. Are you famous or do you how do these people know you? And he went along for a little while, and then he was like, I feel really bad, I have to tell you. And I was like, what? He said, all of those people in there, all of them are my friends. Literally the guy that came up to me and asked for my autograph was my brother. And then that was the same guy who came up to me and said, do you know who this guy is? So they had planned this beforehand. He was like, I didn't want to go along with it. He was out with his friends before he came out and met me. And he was like, I didn't want to go along with it, but like 5 minutes before I left, they came up with this whole scheme, and like I didn't think they'd actually do it, and then they did, and then I had to play along with it, and I had the hardest time keeping a straight face. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It was the weirdest thing ever.
That is, now, how does that make you feel? Because on one hand, if he had said that I came up with this, then maybe I'd be like, okay, this guy's a narcissist and he's trying to like pretend to be something.
Yeah.
But if your buddies come up to you, be like, dude, I'll help get you laid. Let's do this. I'll pretend like you're somewhat super famous. Now, he did say, I thought this wouldn't happen in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Now, if I didn't like it, whatever, like I would legitimately, why did he have to play along? I would have immediately just sat there and just looked at, and I'd be like, dude, this is my brother. He's playing along, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
No, that's what he told me too. He was like, I didn't know how far to take it. I was like, I was about to like tell you and everything like that. But I'm glad that he did not tell me while we were in there, because like, one, I felt pretty stupid around those people, because all those people, like from now on, the story's gonna be like, oh, remember that girl who believed that you were a famous person? And then I just feel stupid.
But here's my thing: if the plan had worked to perfection,
yeah.
Like if like I could see like a guy saying, like, the story is, as I told you this earlier, my uncle, when he was like in his 20s, he's a bigger guy. He played like Division II, Division III college football. He actually had a woman believing he played for the Steelers. And they had a relationship, and so I assume they were intimate. And this woman believes that he was a Steeler. And I have met people who have pretended to be like, pretended to be, football players, have pretended to be in a band, have pretended to be all this kind of stuff. Or like sometimes like if you're a comic is you kind of, you'll pretend like, oh yeah, I came from LA, and oh yeah, I have a development deal and all this kind of stuff. And the whole point is to impress the woman enough to have a one-night stand.
Right.
And it kind of links into a video I actually just saw about an hour earlier before this. There's this British guy I think we've talked about. I guess his name's like Matthew Hussey or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And he was talking actually to women, but I think he talked to men anyways. And he sits there and goes, if you want to win someone's heart, really what they're trying to figure out is, can I be my authentic self in front of this person?
Right, yeah.
Like he sits there and goes, does the person you're with, are you comfortable enough to dance in front of them?
Yeah.
And even if you're not a good dancer, or like, are you confident enough to try something that you know you're probably not going to be good at?
Right.
Like, would you go ice skating? Would you go try to hit a baseball? Would you try to look weird in front of somebody? And the funny thing about it is, I even thought into my own life, and I would sit there and say, there are very few people that completely stone sober I would feel comfortable enough to be my own goofy, opinionated, weird self around.
Right.
And the thing is this guy was starting off a relationship with the plan of trying to impress you to the point of creating an absolute intricate lie.
Yeah, I don't know if he even thought it would. Also, like, I think it would have been more impressive if they kind of like hinted to who he was. It's like, I don't know, like, it wasn't like, oh, you're a famous like model, or you're like a famous, like hockey player or something like that. Like, it's not very impressive if I don't know what kind of famous you are. You know what I mean?
Like, what would be the move if someone was, let's say, somehow, some way you connected and somebody was a member of the Penguins?
Yeah.
And someone sat, because that would probably be the Steelers. You would probably figure out because they'd be just like gigantic
Huge,
or big.
yeah.
Pirate Penguin could seem like a normal looking person.
Yeah.
From your perspective, because I've always thought about this, if I ever got to a level of fame, when would I bring it up? Because I wouldn't want to make it to be the reason why you're with me.
Right.
But also it would be something, I would almost want to make it nonchalant. Just like, oh, your job is, you're a librarian.
I think that's when you kind of like have to bring it up, is like you're going to have to tell them like what you do. And if you lied about like what you do, then you're still lying.
But I would bring it up as if, like you said, oh, you're a librarian, I play for the Penguins.
Yeah.
I'm a stand-up comedian.
Definitely super nonchalant.
Yeah, and be honest with you, that's the move.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be like, then you become like you're too narcissistic and all this other. And then also, that's the other thing. What kind of person do you think these guys' friends wanted you to be?
Yeah.
Like, if you would have been like, oh my God, am I with a famous musician? Am I with and then all of a sudden, what do they expect? What if you went off to the bathroom and, blew the guy? And then all of a sudden, like, oh my God, I blew the bass player for blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, he's not. He's just a guy who works at Sunoco.
Yeah.
And
it's either pretty much, it would be either, there's three outcomes of it. It's that person. It's a person who, like, gets super, like, mad and, like, weird about everything that's happening. Like, I could have been, like, stood up in the middle of, like, dude, like, I don't know what's happening right now, and, like, leaving the bar, and, like, just completely left him. Or I could have been mad whenever he told me. But I was none of those things. So I think I was probably the absolute best person that he could have done that to, that, like, worked out in his favor.
Because I think you're so nonchalant. But I do believe he now has to be on his best behavior in terms of complete honesty.
Oh, dude, but now I need a way. I want to get back at him somehow.
Well, here's how you're going to get back with him. We've got to get to a point to where you invite him to something in which you actually are like it would have been perfect if, let's say, next month was the Millvale Music Festival.
Yeah.
And then you leave him out in the crowd. You're introducing the bands backstage.
Oh, and I didn't tell him that I was introducing.
Yeah. And then you're up on stage kind of deal. And if you'd have told me, like, hey, Mike, there's a dude in the crowd, I'd have been like, okay, here's the deal. You're the lead. You talk most of the time. We'll all that kind of stuff. And so when he sits there and goes, oh, my God, that's the girl I came with, whatever like that. That'd have been the only way that you could have.
Yeah, see, I already told him that I was a D-list celebrity, though. So.
Yeah.
And he's nothing.
Yeah, he's
I had
nothing.
to shove it in his face.
Yeah, like oh,
hey,
by the way, I don't know if you know this, you're nothing.
I don't have to pretend to be a celebrity in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I'm literally about the, like Rick Seaback likes me on Facebook. Yeah. That's
Does Rick Seaback like you?
Yeah, does Rick Seaback like you on Facebook?
So.
Yeah. Has Paul Alexander liked your Facebook posts? Yeah, are you that level? No. You have to pretend. If we were in an open mic bar, there would be nerdy comics who were embarrassed to see me because they're like, oh, my God, that's Alex from the Mike Sasson Show.
Yeah.
Which has actually been conversations I have had with people where they have been intimidated to come up to you because of your amazing internet level fame.
Yeah. I actually matched with, I won't say his name, but I matched with a comedian on Tinder, and one of our mutual likes was the Mike Sasson Show.
He put on his Tinder profile that
it's like because it comes from your Facebook, so it shows like what you like on Facebook, and that was one of like the mutual things that we liked was the Mike Sasson Show. Like,
oh, you like the show that I am. You know what would be...
And I was like, you know Mike Sasson, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I know Mike Sasson, and I told him who I was, and he was like, oh shit. So I don't think that was probably the exact way he said it, but in that kind of terms. And then he was like, I mean, I really only know, like, I don't know very much about Mike. Like, I only see him at Mike's. And I was like, I don't know very much about Mike. I only see him when I do my show.
Yeah, no one knows me. I'm an enigma.
But we're going to discuss notes about you.
Yeah, seriously, just go over just absolute. Okay, just so anyone sits there and goes, what does Mike do all day? Sleep, this show, comedy, hoagies. Football. Yeah, watch football. I don't know. It's an interesting kind of question I always kind of ask myself in that, if I ever were to reach, like if this show were to reach a level of, like, let's say this show becomes a national, like, thing. Like we were a 12:30 late night show. And all of a sudden, Alex becomes like a symbol. Like people, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I just want to meet a nice dude. And then all of a sudden, like anybody who sees you is like, oh my God, there's Alex from the Mike Sasson Show.
Yeah.
With that, I think that would be, I mean, obviously you sit there and you're very pleased. Like when I do get my D level of, celebrity and people take pictures with me, I'm very flattered. But if I ever got to B or A level celebrity status, it'd be very difficult to find someone who would be like, you know what, I like you, Mike.
Yeah. Because
guess what? Or you could just say, hey, I like the person who I see on TV.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Just like that date. I hope, okay. At the end of the day, was this a good move by him?
I don't know. Well, I mean, the whole time I was thinking, like, no matter how this plays out, at least I have a story to tell on tomorrow's bar thoughts.
Yeah,
So
you
like
were-
good.
Yeah,
good
you were
thing
struggling
there.
to figure out something away, and you were like, okay, I got something.
And he told me that too. He's like, well, at least you have a story now. At least like you got a story out of it. And I was like, I feel like the story's better for you on
Yeah.
your part because you get to tell the story that like, oh, some girl like believed it and went along with it.
I don't think you say you believed it. It was
Not
just more
believed
like
it, but like more of like it kind of worked.
Yeah.
To where like I had you confused.
oh, that was the point. She wanted to confuse you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was guys, if you want to get with chicks, confuse the hell out of them.
Yeah,
Show up
not
in
a-
different outfits, be a different person, come out with a person that kind of looks like you, and come out again.
I think it would have honestly ended up the same way regardless of anything that he did. So, I don't know.
There you go. Anyways, thank you very much, Alex. That was a beautiful story. And again, always remember, if you want to get girls, just confuse them.
Just lie.
Just lie your ass off. That's one of my hot takes, and now it's my segment called Hot Takes. It's kind of like hot cakes, only more less syrupy. Anyways, go. So here's my hot takes. It's basically like bar thoughts and experiences, only stolen sober, which makes me feel it's a little bit weirder. Anyways, first hot take. Out in California, it's a disaster. There's like nearly 30 people at this point when we're recording this show that have been found dead. There's like 200 or some odd people that are missing. Huge wildfires out in Southern California. And the fact that I visited Southern California this past summer and I kind of know where this is, I'm like, holy crap, this is, I was just there. And so it's weird to experience that. But one thing that's getting to me is so many people are on their Instagrams and their Twitters, and they're all talking about we've got to get back because I have a horse or I have a dog or I have a cat or all this kind of. Here's my thing. Until all the people are accounted for, no one go back for their horse. Don't go back for your horse. Don't dive for your horse. It's the people. Go find some people. Go find some people that are stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. And I agree that some people are like, oh, no, but I love my horse. Yes, but let's take care of the people first before we get
Maybe you should have taken your horse with you in the first place.
Maybe you should have just let him go and just let him ride because he's a horse. Anyways, next one. Why does every part of your body get bigger when you get fat except your penis? That's like the cruelest part about the male human body. Is like, okay, if you eat a lot, your girl's butt can get bigger, her boobs can get bigger. Obviously, like in my own body, when I've lost weight, I figured out my feet got smaller.
Huh.
My head got smaller.
Yeah.
My penis never gained the weight. I think it would be amazing if you could sit there and just be like, oh my God, this cheesecake's going right to my dick. That would be an interesting way if the body worked that way.
Yeah, you'd really have to like focus that energy.
But at least maybe if
'Cause
there was
it's not
a part.
like I can eat a hamburger and be like, this is gonna go right to my butt.
Yeah.
I can't just force that to happen.
But if, let's say, for instance, maybe there is a certain person, like I know like the J-Lo, she ate and probably it did go to the butt. Whereas maybe there are certain men that like they eat a cheeseburger and they know it's going right to their shaft and their balls.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyways, next one. You can't ban people from stadiums, and I don't know why they keep telling people they can. Like, I remember this was a couple weeks ago. New England Patriot game in Gillette Stadium. Great game against the Kansas City Chiefs. This guy for the Kansas City Chiefs runs for a touchdown, and these Boston fans are being Boston fans, and so they're flipping him the bird and all this kind of stuff. And then one guy throws a beer right in his face. And the thing about it was like at Gillette Stadium, they're at like eye level with him, like it's eye level, and the guy just looks at you, just throws a beer right in his face. And so, like, the Gillette Stadium people announced after the game that man has been permanently banned from Gillette Stadium. And everyone made the point, like, dude, there's no way you can ban this guy.
Yeah.
All he has to do is have his buddy buy the tickets, and he just goes to a different gate. There's no – what are you going to do? Tell every usher at Gillette Stadium? It's like, hey, watch for a white, pasty, Irish-looking guy in Boston who with a Tom Brady jersey who hates black people. No.
Everyone just has to hold up a picture the whole day.
Yeah, of
Like,
the
have you
one
seen this
guy.
guy?
No one knows it. All he has to do is just like put a hoodie on. It's freaking. It's gonna be 2 degrees for the rest of the year at Gillette Stadium. Same thing in Pittsburgh. Some guy goes, "Oh, that guy's never gonna be allowed in." Oh, watch the fat Yinzer who wears like the starter jersey from Greg Lloyd from back in '95. He's not back in. Yeah, there's no way they're finding you. I'm not saying that you're allowed to like throw beer at people, but stop telling people that you're never. They could suspend season tickets. That's always been a fear. But don't say that you're going to ban the guy. He's never going to be in the stadium. No, he's not. Anyways, and the last one is I was sitting there, and this is just a bad thought, but I was sitting there thinking the other day, and I was just like, I believe in a woman's right to choose. I believe in a woman's right to have an abortion, but I also believe in a man's right to skip town because I think that that's kind of the male abortion. I know that's very harsh.
That's a harsh thought.
But it is a harsh thought. But, I mean, like, if your dad left town, pretty much that was his way of aborting you.
Yeah.
And so guess what? I wouldn't want that guy in my life. There's always one thing. People always sit there when they don't have dads. They're like, oh, I didn't have a guy who would throw catch to me or can't tell me he loved me. Yeah, you also didn't have a guy who, like, would steal from you and, like, freaking throw lit cigarettes at you. You didn't have a bad dad either.
That's true.
Yeah. So maybe you lucked out. It's like when, like, Mike Tomlin said about Le'Veon Bell, hey, we don't want hostages, we want volunteers. That's the same thing with dads. We want dads who want to be there. Have your mom go out, use her feminine wilds, snatch a good dad, and then your score. And let loser dad, let him out of there. Boom, win. Everything's better. That's how it works, Alex. You seem disappointed.
No, I guess not.
Anyways, that was Hot Takes. Now we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to have Fresh Eyes. This segment, I've been holding this one back for a while. Alex, now let me ask you a question. Had you ever seen these videos before?
No.
Okay. For the first time, Alex watched Kiss videos. You're not going to want to miss this. It's the Mike Sasson Show, coming back with Fresh Eyes, Kiss. It's the Mike Sasson Show on the River's Edge, www.riversedgepgh.com for the best talk and the best local music. We'll be right back. It is the Mike Sasson Show live on the River's Edge at www.riversedgepgh.com or on any of the podcast formats, Google Play, iTunes, or SoundCloud, or on YouTube, or you're watching any of the quotes. Remember to like the show. It's a wonderful show. You should like it. We'd like your show. That's how it works. All right, Alex?
Yeah.
There you go. Anyways, this week, every week, I try to have Alex watch something from the past to get her take on it. We call it Fresh Eyes. This is a very special Fresh Eyes because I've been saving this one up for a while. But before we get to that, let's play the theme song.
There's no love like a country girl with money.
There's no band in the history of music that is as polarizing as this band. Either you absolutely adore this band and think they're the greatest thing in the history of the world, or you think they're the stupidest thing you've ever seen in your freaking life. Of course, I'm talking about a phenomenon that is of the 70s but is still going strong. They're actually going to have their farewell tour, which I've got a feeling if Gene Simmons still thinks he can make money, he'll have another farewell tour. It's the band Kiss. Now, Kiss was formed in New York City in the early 70s. They were supposed to be a glam band. So that's why they came with the whole Kiss thing. And they were kind of actually more wearing like feminine stuff. Like they were the New York Dolls or T-Rex or something like that. But then eventually they saw that the New York Dolls were doing it better than they ever could. So they went to an Alice Cooper show and their idea was, ooh, why don't we spit blood and be more demon-like and everything like that. So they actually created characters for themselves. Gene Simmons was the demon. He actually spit blood and all this other kind of stuff. Paul Stanley was Starman. He was the star. Then there was the drummer, Peter Criss. He was the Catman. And then there was Ace Frehley, the guitarist, and he liked science fiction, so he became Starman. And it actually got to the point, and this is no bullshit, Gene Simmons has actually changed on some albums to where it doesn't have any of their names anymore. It just says Kiss is the demon, the Spaceman, the Catman, and Starman. Because the rumor is what he wants to do is get 4 other people to be in the band and then keep touring as Kiss, and he still makes money off of them.
Huh.
That's how much this guy loves money. This band has sold over 100 million albums in the world, but their biggest thing is their live shows.
Yeah.
Their live shows are legendary for over-the-top pyrotechnics. They, again, as I mentioned, Gene Simmons spits blood. Gene Simmons shoots fire out of his mouth. Gene Simmons throws like a flaming sword into the whatever. It just, everything's over the top with this band. And personally, I'd have to sit there and say, just so you understand where I stand on these guys. We used to play a game in long car trips, like you sit there and say I Spy or something like that. We play on long car trips called Let's Write a Kiss Song.
Ooh.
And so what we would do is all you have to do is put something sexual with something in like the area. So like we'd be driving and we'd see, okay, love truck. And so we'd start running, you're my love truck. Dun, dun, and the next person would be, cause you're down to fuck. Dun, dun, love truck. You want to be my love truck. Like that's a Kiss song.
Yeah.
And they were the first, but like someone one time said, like everybody before Kiss wanted to be the Beatles. These guys wanted to be McDonald's.
Yeah.
These guys wanted to just make money. And so what I had Alex, I had her watch a couple videos. One was from the 96 reunion tour, was their first show at Tiger Stadium, Shout It Out Loud.
Yeah.
The other one was from the VMAs, where they were too big at the time to actually be in the theater. They performed live underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. The other one was maybe the most insane video they made some insane videos. And then I also had her watch a couple commercials from the 70s talking about how commercial these guys were. So first off, let's talk about the 2 live ones, Shout It Out Loud and Rock and Roll All Night. What were your thoughts watching these 2 videos?
The first video, really with them, I'm just like, in my head, their thought behind everything was like, hey, we don't play very good music, so maybe we should like paint our faces and look like gay spacemen, and people will like us. And also like shoot off a bunch of fireworks. That's cool. Everyone loves fireworks, you know?
Yes.
Like you can hype up any kind of music if you have fireworks at the end of it.
But that's the thing about it, which is so brilliant. It worked.
Yeah. That's the
People
most
were like
insane part.
Yeah. Well, one of the things was like their first 3 albums did not do very well. Their first album that really exploded and made them a huge band was their live album.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And so it was like people are like, oh, you sound better live.
Even though they sound like shit.
Yeah, the song's kind of stupid.
Like, all of their voices sound like shit. But, like, I mean, the guitar solos, I guess, would probably be the only redeeming part of these songs. They were a good amount of length. I know that I always talk about how guitar solos are always extremely too long. But they were a good amount of length, and they were impressive enough to, like, be like, oh, this is cool. This is, like, the only, like, actually good musicianship that has happened during this whole video.
Well, the one thing I remember with the Rock and Roll All Night is Paul Stanley gets up, makes this speech like there's only one rock and roll national anthem, party on. And it's a happy, stupid song.
Yeah.
The story behind it was they wrote it in 20 minutes in a hotel room, which makes me believe, what did they do for the other 18?
Yeah.
But the thing is like at the beginning of the song, they start the drums, and then all of a sudden, like Paul Stanley jumps up, and right when he lands, the entire, and tell me if I'm wrong, the entire freaking stage looks like it just blew up.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you have to sit there and be like, all right, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like if I was there, I'd be like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's all you kind of, like if you ever pictured yourself like playing like rock and roll or anything like that, like that is exactly what you would be like.
Yeah.
This is the coolest thing ever. Like we have to have explosions and stuff like that. That's exactly what you would want if you were that person.
Yeah.
So like good for them. They got to like live out their stupid dreams of like, you know, explosions and stuff when they play music.
Yeah.
But like the Rock and Roll All Night, like they literally sound like grandparents singing that song
Yeah.
because their voices are like so raspy and like
Oh,
when
by
he's
the way,
talking-
and that was 1996.
yeah.
2018 is not going to be much better.
I know, it's insane. But it's like they just dressed up some grandpas and then made them sing a song about rock and roll.
Yes.
And then everyone was in love with it.
Yeah.
And this is the only song that I can really like stand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, if it comes on, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, like I'll deal with it.
Well, again, it's such a party anthem. I mean, like
Yeah.
if you were at a party and someone sits there and just like you hear the first guitar licks, and again, it's a real short song. It doesn't really say anything.
Yeah.
It's not making a statement. It just, hey, I want to rock and roll all night and party every day.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, it's kind of an anthem of like, hey, let's just let loose and have fun. One thing I will give it up to Kiss about is if you put down $20, they give you $50 of entertainment. You
Yeah.
put down $50, they give you $100 in entertainment.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they're so beloved is because no one forgets a Kiss song. No one forgets a Kiss show.
Yeah.
No one sits there and goes, well, it was whatever. They just stood there and whatever. And they're like, no, I saw a guy breathe fire and drink blood and fly above the stage, and the entire stage blew up.
Yeah.
Okay, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. But I mean, like, honestly, I think from all of the stuff that you've had me listen to, I feel like there's just someone in, like, the 80s and, like, around that time period who is just like, listen, if you could make the most repetitive song that'll be stuck in people's heads forever, you're the one that wins.
Well, it's funny because, like, that's the hook.
Yeah.
And they talk about, like, the song that kind of sticks in your head and kind of, like, and it really is something to where, like, whenever you talk to people that make pop, like, we're having this discussion at an open mic. If you listen to most of the songs on radio even today, typically it's about 5 producers who made all of them.
Yeah.
You get one of those 5 producers and they know how to make hits. And it is, you get the little, the hook, the little, you know, the thing that kind of rings in your head that makes you start to move and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Kiss had that for a few songs where just like it's the beginning like this and then it explodes and then you can almost see like the band and everything like that. And I almost sit there and view like, if you want to understand hair metal, you have to understand that essentially what hair metal was someone saw Kiss. Then Van Halen came along, who was actually discovered by Gene Simmons. The rumor was that Eddie Van Halen and Alex Van Halen, he wanted to kind of stash him away to put him and make him part of Kiss.
Yeah.
So that what happened is that then Van Halen came along, and they were a little better musician-wise. And then, like, Motley Crue came along, and they were kind of, like, a little darker. And so everybody on the Sunset Strip was like, okay, well, if I have a lot of explosions like Kiss, and I play guitar like Eddie Van Halen, and I like worship Satan like Motley Crue, I get to live in a beautiful house and marry a Playboy Playmate.
Yeah.
And that's what all of these guys did.
Yeah.
The biggest bands, biggest hair, biggest explosions, all that kind of good stuff. Which brings me, they made a lot of ridiculous videos.
Yeah.
Ridiculous does not describe this video that I asked you to watch.
Yeah.
The song title is, and you can Google it, I did not make it up, Let's Put the X in Sex. It starts out with like wind and stuff. I forgot how ridiculous this music video was.
It starts out with like this creepy girl with like orange makeup on, and like her face is very traumatizing, to be honest.
And like it's wind, it's like this kind of things, and then all of a sudden, in like the word "sex" comes on, like thing, and I'm just like, no way you were this blatant.
Yep.
Yeah, they were. So then the song starts, and I use the term vaguely. And I use the term loosely, but then maybe one of the most ridiculous lines in the history of music. Let's put the X in sex.
Yeah.
Love's like a muscle, and you make me want to flex.
Yep.
That's like when we play the song, like when we play the game, Write a Kiss song, that's an actual Kiss song.
Yeah.
What did you think about the video?
First of all, what's his name? Paul Stanley.
Uh-huh.
Literally disgusts me. And like this whole video, he's just so. I'm glad that they paint their faces
Yes.
because he is the worst face
Yes.
in the world. And like all of his dancing and stuff like that, and like the fact that it's such a sexual song, like
Overtly, like this song
Yeah.
isn't like this. There's no metaphors in this.
no.
There's just like we're let's put the X in sex.
Yeah, literally one of the first parts of the video is like one of them like behind this girl like bent over.
Yes.
You're like, okay, all right, I get it. But
Well, one part about it which I thought was kind of funny, which I could understand, they had like in the beginning like 10 models,
yeah,
and they were just walking in unison, and they didn't do anything. They
No.
just walked in unison.
it was good. Yeah,
And the thing that gets me is I bet you for like the month before this thing, they were sitting there going up to every model in Hollywood, be like, would you like to be in a video? And they were like, sure, I'd love to be in a video. But the problem was like 10 of them showed up. And so they went to the directors like, yeah, there's like 10 models. We told them would be in the video. And they're like, well, what can they do? Like, can
Yeah.
they dance? Like, no.
Yeah.
Can they do anything? No. They're hot. Just have them walk in unison like they're geese going south for the
Yeah.
winter, and they're just walking towards, and then just put them in like they're above them and they were just like humping the rail and stuff like that. By the way, this is completely real.
Yeah.
I'm not making any part of this up. It really was just like this band was just a vehicle to just these guys to get laid. Like we talk about the Beatles are trying to get laid. At least the Beatles would write like a happy song.
Yeah.
These guys are just like, we want to get laid. We want
I
to get
don't
laid.
even know how Paul Stanley would ever get laid. Like he literally like his everything makes my genitals want to like shrivel up. I can't with any of him.
Well, do you know? Well,
just
Gene
grosses
Simmons
me
is
out.
the other one. You know,
Yeah.
the bass player.
Yeah.
You know who he dated for a good amount of time in the 70s? One of
No.
your favorites, Cher.
Oh yeah.
You're not surprised by the fact that Cher and him at
No.
one point?
No. As long as she didn't date Paul Stanley.
Okay.
I think that's like Gene Simmons is like gross, but still not as gross.
What?
Somehow.
Most people would assume that Paul Stanley would be a little bit better looking than
I
Gene
know
Simmons.
it's just everything about his face and his body, like and the faces that he makes with his face.
Yes.
It's just like someone smashed his face in, but then also gave him a facelift at the same time.
Uh-huh.
That's what his face looks like.
And the thing is about it was, you're absolutely right. They put on makeup for a reason.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
Because
that was
you-
a great move by
They
them.
knew no one would like them
Yes.
if they didn't do something like that.
Yeah. So that was
Like
actually
they had to be over the top ridiculous in order to make their appearance not be as terrible.
Okay. What other aspects of Let's Put the X in Sex would you like to comment on, other than the fact that Paul Stanley is disgusting?
That's all I could pay attention to for most of it. Just the fact that like this song couldn't even exist. Like imagine if someone did this song today, you know?
Well, the thing that gets me is like they were in a studio like this. Someone comes in with an idea. Hey, let's put the X in
What
sex.
does that even mean? What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Like I don't know.
It's a ridiculous song, but the fact is, there were 4 gentlemen who get paid, and like a producer and like an engineer, and they worked on this song and they wrote it and
And
they
they're all
put it
like-
out and they made it into a video, and they were like, yeah, this is it. This is the song that's gonna sell.
Was it popular?
No, it was fine.
Yeah,
They
it was
weren't
just like kind
that-
of one of their backup ones.
Yeah, it was just a song, but the fact that they even invested money into Let's Put the X in Sex
Yeah.
made it like $1 would be that it got on an album. It was on an album. Not only got an album, they hired a director.
Yeah.
They have film. A guy who learns lighting had to like light Let's Put the X in Sex.
See, that's what you use that pussy melting guitar pedal. That's what you use it for. That song exactly.
Well, but the thing is that's why Steel Panther exists, because Steel Panther, even though they are much better musicians than Kiss, they understand that era of music taken to that level was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you have to like let it be like, okay, we understand we look ridiculous, but let's have fun and let's drink beer and let's smoke and let's fuck.
Because we can.
Because we can.
Because people are still going to listen to this nonsense.
Now, I did add two things, and I remember when I didn't want you to freak out when you saw that many YouTube clips, and I sat there and went, the last two are commercials and are 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, something that people don't get how big these guys were in the 70s. So I showed you two commercials from the 70s. One was the Kiss doll that was aimed at like kids, and the other one was like Kiss makeup kit.
Yeah.
That was aimed at dudes.
Yeah.
To put on Kiss makeup. So, what were your thoughts on seeing these commercials?
I mean, first of all, I love old commercials like this that are just like so bad, and you're like, I can't believe anyone bought these things, but then I can based on that time period. Like 90s commercials are my favorite thing ever. But if my kid wanted to ask me if they could have that whole collection of Kiss dolls, I would really question like my choices that I made as a parent to get them to that point in their lives.
What was it about the Kiss dolls? Like the fact that they could.
So creepy. And also, like, you want your kids to have that? Like, those are their role models? Are these people who sing the song, Let's Put the X in Sex?
At that time, they had not sung Let's Put the X in Sex.
Still.
They sung the song Love Gun.
Yeah.
You pull the trigger on my love gun.
Either way, like, their performances and, like, how they're doing everything, I don't think I want that to be my kid's role model.
And then the one weird part that I saw was the fact that the makeup kit was just, we're two dudes.
Yeah, just hanging out. Let's put on makeup.
Let's put on makeup and rock out with makeup on. And I'm just sitting there going, like, it's one thing that, like, I don't think people understand that, like, at one point, like, certain things just no one understood what gay was.
Yeah.
Like, we understood it, but we didn't, like, it wasn't something as like, oh, yeah, that's kind of gay. No, they had no idea that, oh, put makeup on. We'll get tons of girls. Yeah, absolutely. Make our hair freaking high as all hell. Let's rock out with. And then in the movie, in the commercial, the mom walks in with the laundry and just rolls her eyes and walks away. And I'm like, no, the mom had every right to think you were weird.
Yeah.
To like listen to an album while you were putting on the makeup of the band.
Yeah.
Because let's say, okay, I remember when I was in a PBS show in which I played a person that turned into a vampire. You remember? I told you about this.
Yeah.
And so they put makeup on me and all that kind of stuff. And then afterwards, like, I was like, okay, how do I get this off? And they were just like, oh, it's makeup remover. I'm like, I don't have makeup remover at my house.
Yeah.
But they was like, oh, you have to. So I had to go into like a CVS and like go get like makeup remover because I was trying to make sure I didn't have any on me and it burned like a motherfucker. And like, and so the thing is like, you're a kid, you're like 15 years old, and all of a sudden, like, oh, I need makeup remover, Ma. Like, that'd be a weird moment in 1978.
Yeah.
So,
but it happened.
But overall, what were your thoughts for the first time seeing this band that literally was like a cultural like milestone of the late 70s?
I mean, it didn't make me like them anymore. I'll say that. They're definitely, like, good performers and, like...
Explosions are cool.
Yeah, they did... I'm proud of them for, like, sticking to their guns and, like, just rolling with it and keeping it going.
Yeah.
And continuing to make money like that. Like, that's... I commend them for that.
And explosions are cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I'm ever going to be, like, a famous musician, like, I want some explosions.
Not just some explosions. All the explosions.
I just want explosions. Yeah, like, yeah. I mean, the one where they literally have, like, they're in the stadium and they have the explosions going off, but then there's also, like, fireworks, like, a little bit away so you can see those, too, like, while you're in the stadium. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I'd like it, though. I don't actually like fireworks very much. So.
See, I want Kiss level. I want to get so big as a comedian that I get Kiss level explosions when I come on stage.
Ooh.
That'd be pretty cool.
I don't think any comedians have that, do they?
Well, I'll be the first.
All right.
There you go.
I'm rooting for you.
There we go. That was Fresh Eyes. Thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah.
Now our final segment before our real final segment is News and Notes. Thank you very much. News and Notes. Play the theme song. It all starts now. First story is why sometimes you can't believe everything you read on the internet, and you have to kind of do some investigation.
Ugh.
So the first thing, I was doing research for it, and it said guy wants to change his age from 69 to 49 to get girls on Tinder. Now, you read that, and you're like, oh, this is just an old guy trying to, like, whatever. And then you start to read more about it, and they're like, guy from the Netherlands wants to change his age and blah, 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 because just age is just a thought and all this other kind of stuff. But then you do some more research, and you find out that he's kind of like a Bill O'Reilly or a Rush Limbaugh of the Netherlands. He's a media personality. So he's trying to make a point. Like he sits there and goes, well, if gender's a choice, then why can't I decide to be 49 years old?
Yeah.
So here's my point. Fine, go.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, no one cares that no woman is going to like you anyway. Because he even mentioned, he goes, I'm 49 years old. When I say I'm 69, women don't like me. When I'm 49, all of a sudden, women like me.
No, literally no one's going to treat you any differently.
Yeah, you just be an old-looking guy who says you're 49.
Yeah, and like, why do you want people to like you? Like, why don't you just accept that you're 69 and, like,
Even
be
though
confident about that? Because 69-year-old confident people are still attractive.
There you go. Boom. But here's the thing that gets me all the time is I always sit there and someone will be like, hey, Mike, you look good for your age. I'm like, well, what do you think I look like? It was, I think you look 36. And I'm like, what does 36 look like?
Yeah, no idea. It looks different on everyone.
Yeah, you know what I look like? I look like a grown man. That's what I look like. There's just some people just look like I'm past like being young, and now I just look like a grown person.
Yeah.
And okay, if tomorrow I said, okay, I want to legally change my age to 28, who cares? Nothing would change.
No.
No.
And this guy's life isn't gonna get any better.
Yeah, he's still gonna have to show that picture.
Yeah.
Speaking of pictures. As we talked about before, essentially the entire dating world is now built on lies.
Well,
you have to
true.
make sure that your social media is on point. You lie to people on Tinder. You lie to people now to their faces, which is fun.
Yeah.
And now they're giving guys a tool to where you can even lie in the pictures. It's called Manly. It's an app to where it's supposed to be for 4 and up, to where you're supposed to alter.
Sorry, 4 years old?
Yeah.
And
They say that that's how hard it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 4 years up. It's so essentially you can give yourself abs, a cool tattoo, make your body tan, make it that you have muscles. So as you can see, there's a before and after picture. Now let me ask you a question, Alex. Somebody on their Tinder profile has a picture with their shirt off.
Yeah.
First off, isn't that kind of
kind of douchey?
Yeah, kind of douchey.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, like, the situation that you're in.
What would be a non-douchey situation to where you would accept the fact that the person has their shirt off?
Maybe if they were, like, swinging from a rope swing into the water, then I'd be like, well, you can't have a shirt on. That would be ridiculous.
But even then, I think it would be he's obviously proud of his body and he wants to show you.
Maybe, yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. But, like, I don't want someone just posing there without their shirt on. I would
Okay.
rather you be doing something, like, athletic or something, I guess, if you're going to put a shirt, like a shirtless photo on.
So would the ultimate be shirtless photo swinging into a lake holding a puppy?
Yeah.
That'd be it all.
That seems dangerous for the puppy.
What if the puppy had abs?
The what?
The puppy had abs and the puppy had like a cool tattoo. You could do that with this thing.
Yeah.
There you
that
go.
would be weird.
But okay, but like first time the guy takes off his shirt, you're like, where are the freaking tattoos and the abs?
Yeah.
Gary?
Yeah. I
Would
mean,
you-
you probably know, like, immediately upon seeing them. I don't know. It's happened to me before. Not that people have lied about what they look like, but that it's kind of just a little bit disguised. And then they, like, take their shirt off, and I'm like, oh, this is not what I expected you to look like with all your clothes on. It's very different.
Were they lying or just they look better with their clothes on?
Yeah, they look better with their clothes on.
So then afterwards you'd be like, okay, if we're ever going to have sex, you need to be fully clothed.
Yeah.
Fully clothed is the only way we're going.
Yeah, but I don't want people to lie like this. Like, I'm not gonna like you any better if you have. That's not even a normal amount of abs.
But here's the thing that some guys come up with, like, okay, women, they get hair extensions, they get high heels, they get push-up bras. All of these are essentially lies.
Yeah, but there are also things that, like, are there. Like my hair extensions, they're there. They're, like, in real life. You would see me the same way that you see me.
But if you're in, like, high heels, you're essentially trying to look taller.
Well, no. I mean, why do you wear certain things in your outfit? Just because, like, you like how they look in your outfit. You're not necessarily trying to be taller.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes they do. Like, I've had women where they've taken off their heels, and I'd be like, "Oh, I thought you were like 5'10". Turns out you're 5'3".
Yeah, like I don't wear heels to be taller.
You wear it so.
I like my height.
There you go.
But I like how they look with my outfit.
There you go.
So.
But I mean, aren't those a little bit more like, again, fibbing somewhat, or is that just looking nice?
Yeah, I think it's just like putting yourself together. But like these are things that like aren't even. It's not like I don't know. I'm trying to think of a situation. Like, it's not like he is wearing, I don't know, like a butt pad, you know?
Would you accept a butt pad as opposed to a fake tattoo?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I would accept, a butt pad as opposed to, like, fake abs in your photo, and then in real life you have none of that.
What if he made up a story like, yeah, I hurt my ankle, and so I need to get back on the, need to get back in the ab roller.
Well, that's just mean.
What?
Don't do that to people.
Do what?
Lie like that.
Yes, don't lie. Don't go up to a bar and lie to Alex. She's already in a web of lies. She can't do more.
I?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, speaking of a web of lies, Nicki Minaj, yesterday, she was at the People's Choice Awards, which, again, I don't understand. Again, I've stated clearly I hate award shows.
What?
I've stated clearly throughout my life that I hate award shows. So she was doing an award with, I guess she won Best something. I don't even care. Anyway, she was with Jimmy Fallon. They gave her the award. And so what she said was, shout out to Versace for specially making this dress, and shout out to Michael B. Jordan because he's going to be taking it off me tonight.
Ooh.
Now, Michael B. Jordan actually has like a fiance and is pregnant and all this kind of stuff like that. But if Michael B. Jordan sits there and goes, hey, hold your horses, Nicki Minaj, couldn't that be somewhat viewed as an unwanted sexual advance?
Yes.
So is there a chance that Nicki Minaj was possibly sexually harassing Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
Especially making that face?
Also, yeah, definitely. Also, you should probably just, no one wants to hear about that.
No one wants to hear?
No one cares.
No one cares that you want to have sex with someone in the audience?
Yeah.
By the way, I believe Michael B. Jordan has consent at this point.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's consent. A public statement saying you can take these clothes off.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so.
Yeah.
I think that would hold up in a court of law.
Now, one thing I do like about Nicki Minaj is the fact that I do believe there needs to be more honesty. I like the fact that she's just like, hey, I'm putting it out there. I want to have sex with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
That's good. I actually there's a part of me that likes it.
Do you think the award shows are the best place to do that?
I think that would make me more interested in watching the Oscars if every person went up there and just pointed out people in the audience they want to have sex with.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a little bit more interesting. And then if the other person was just like,
let's do it.
Let's do it. And then like the band would play them off.
Yeah, and they have like separate rooms for that at the award shows.
Yeah, and they'd just be banging. And then they'd come back and their hair would be kind of messed up and all that other kind of stuff.
And everyone claps for them and they win an award.
And they have the Oscar like with both ends like kind of 69ing it.
Best sex couple of the People's Choice Awards.
There you go. That would make it interesting. But what if they sit there and be like, no, I'm actually for this person. And they'd be like, and it becomes like Price is Right.
Yeah.
And then they'd run off. And then now this becomes the real award show that we want.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm for it.
I'm for the random sex, but also it is kind of theoretically, if Michael B. Jordan was insulted by it, an unwanted sexual advance.
Yes.
So there's so much intrigue in that, which is why I think, to be honest with you, I'm kind of coming around. I'm appreciative that Nicki Minaj made something interesting happen during the People's Choice Awards, which I think in the future, if everyone would just say, hey, I want to have sex with XYZ, I think that could help in terms of ratings, which that's all life is about.
At least they have one more person watching.
One more person watching, that's what happens. Speaking of one more person watching, lots of people are watching because the Spice Girls are back together and they're doing a tour of the UK.
Spice Girls.
But here's the problem. They didn't get Posh.
Yeah.
Posh?
I was looking at this photo. I was like, oh.
6 months ago, Posh even said, we're not going to be going back together. We're not going on tour, blah, blah, blah. And the other four were like, no, yeah, we are. We're going to completely do this. But the thing is that the tickets are selling like hotcakes. So how bad does Posh look right now? Because everyone's like, we want our Spice Girls. We don't care if Miss Victoria Beckham's there. She becomes like the Le'Veon Bell of the group.
Yeah, that or this is a whole scheme. And then like when... like a couple days before the show or something like that, like she comes out and it's this huge thing.
That's not what you do. No. You do this tour with the four. It's like Van Halen. Like they had their tour, then they figured out no one cared about him, and then they brought back David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
Then everyone's like, oh my God, David Lee Roth is back. Now there's rumors that they might go back to Sammy, because then everyone sits there and goes, oh, Sammy's back. But then somebody sits there and then everyone sees Sammy and like, okay, that was crap. And then everybody sits there and goes, well, they haven't really had a full reunion because the last couple tours they've been with Wolfgang Van Halen, not with Michael Anthony. Then all of a sudden they bring back Michael Anthony. It's like, hey, it's actually a real reunion. It's all four of us.
Yeah.
That's how, like Guns N' Roses, they just brought back Slash and Duff, so it's Slash, Duff, and Axl. Then the next tour, they bring back one more person, and it becomes kind of like a building block to where, like, it takes like a 15-year process. It's like a stripper. Once you've gotten naked and you've done what you're supposed to do, everyone kind of loses interest. But if you're just sitting there going, hey, took my bra off, then it's like, yay, here's money. Then they're like, hey, do you want to see me without my pants on? They're like, yay, but they put the bra back on. And then so like it becomes this little dance kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I guess if they're selling out like tickets, you know, like crazy for the first year, then yeah,
were
I think
you
that would
alive
work.
when Spice Girls were like kind of big?
Yes, I was alive.
Would you see the Spice Girls if they came to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I guess so. I was never like a huge Spice Girls fan.
Who was your big band back when you were like 8 years old? Who was the one that you really were like, yeah, I gotta watch this?
I don't know. I wasn't hugely into all of the like. I mean, I liked NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and like Britney Spears and stuff like that. But I think that I liked Cher and those people more.
Well, Cher had Believe at the point where you did. Was that your entrance into Cher-ness? Was Believe, or did you like the We Got You Babe Cher?
Oh yeah, well I liked her before Believe, but like Believe Believe was actually a song where I was like a conscious child that like remembered things, and so I guess that was a little bit bigger for me.
There you go. My band when I was 8 years old would probably, as I said before, the first CD record tape that I ever bought was in Midland, Texas. It was Motley Crue, Theater of Pain.
Yeah.
Because at the time, Home Sweet Home was big on MTV, and I went in and got it, and I was so cool because it's had the parental like lyric thing where it says like explicit lyrics, and like it's Texas, so they were like real like super like Christian about it. And I went up and I was like 10 years old, and I walked up, 10-year-old Mike, and I put the tape on it, and it was like $10, and I put the $10 on it. The guy behind there put it in the bag, gave it to me, and whatever. And I thought I had just like bought crack, like I win, like whatever. Which at the end of the day, the guy behind the counter was probably like 15 years old. He didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
But it's like when like I remember when I was like 12 years old and I got into like a rated R movie, and I'm like, ooh, I've got a rated R movie.
I'm a badass.
Well, that was always one of the, you remember Basic Instinct? Mm-hmm. Okay, when Basic Instinct was in theaters, it was a big deal that it was a hard R.
Oh.
Like they were sitting there because there was like vag in this movie. So the big deal was that they had like cops at the door, and they weren't letting like 14-year-olds in. Like you had to be 17 years old to get into this movie unless you're with your parents.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing with, it used to be X, then it was NC-17 means no children with 17. R used to mean like you had to have your parents if you wanted to see it.
Right.
Like when I was like 13 years old, I saw like Goodfellas.
I don't think I ever went to a movie. I can't think of any movie that I wanted to see so bad that was like rated R that I made my parents go with me so that I could see it.
I didn't want to see these movies per se. My dad would always take me to go see Goodfellas.
Oh.
Like my dad took me to see Rambo, and this was 1985, so I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember my brother, who at the time would have been 6, fell asleep during Rambo. So like 6-year-old Tim was just sitting there like during one of the most violent movies in the history of like mankind. That was the kind of, my dad would pick movies based upon like a buddy of his at work would say it was cool and be like, all right, let's go to the movie. So he wasn't like, hey, this might not be appropriate for a 9-year-old, but he was like, it's Rambo, whatever, it's war.
Yeah, Rambo.
War's cool.
Yeah.
But
we're tough men.
We're tough men. It's 1985. No one cared. Anyways, but the thing is now Posh is screwed because, again, if Posh comes back with, like, any sort of demands, it'll be like, we sell out arenas without you. Get out of here. Go play soccer with your husband. We don't care about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think she has a great life, otherwise.
But you know what? You don't think that she's a little pissed off that this is happening?
Maybe.
No, maybe. She's pissed off that this is happening. Anyways, moving on. A big moment. You were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Chris Pine Outlaw King, I gave you the picture. I put a little rose in front of his junk.
Oh.
But that was the picture, because remember a couple weeks ago it was a big deal that Chris Pine was showing his little wiener coming out. That's
his little wiener.
Yeah, well, here's the thing that was I think it's kind of BS, is because everyone made a big deal that, oh, he showed his what. That was the scene. It was only a second long, and that's how far away he was.
Yeah, he looks like a merman.
Yeah. If you want to Google it right now, you can actually, but you literally have to enhance to actually see it. It's not like it was.
Work.
But that's the thing. Everyone made such a big deal out of it, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's stupid. People need to grow up. Grow up. Show us more dicks.
Look into the camera and talk to Hollywood and tell them what you want, Alex.
Hey, Hollywood, we want more dicks all the time. And more boobs, too. We've got to be fair.
Boobs, ass. Do we want more vaginas?
No, not really. I mean, I don't know. In my mind, if I was going to see a vagina in a movie, I'd be like, oh, okay.
But boobs you're a big fan of.
Yeah, I'd rather see boobs, I think.
And penises. Got to have penises.
Yeah.
Do you want any more? I think more. I think you'd enjoy an unexpected penis. Sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm about to see a penis. But you want to see whoa! I didn't know I was going to see Adam Sandler's penis.
I don't want to see.
But
Adam
I'm
Sandler's
that's
penis.
what I'm saying. That level of surprise penis.
Yeah, I can't find it.
It's there. I just showed it to you.
I'm trying to look for his dick.
You're trying to look for
Why
his dick.
Why is he is large?
What do you mean?
In this movie?
What, he's a thick dude?
Yeah, like a thick dude.
Well, he's playing like a Scottish freaking nobleman. He's not gonna have.
That's so beautiful. Oh, I found it.
You found it? You have to enhance to actually see his junk.
Yeah, that's too
It's very blurry.
Far away.
That's the picture you saw. I added the rose because I wanted to be dignified.
That was pretty.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
It always makes junk a little better.
Mm-hmm. I love how close you have to see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could be nice.
I'm not saying it's not nice, but it's not like he's doing porn anytime soon.
Yeah, no.
But he did come out of a cold water, so let's give him some credit there.
Yeah. Oh, this water could be super warm. We have no idea.
All right, so look in the camera. Tell Chris Pine, what do you think? How are you rate his penis?
Chris Pine, I'm gonna rate it. Let's say out of 10, an 8.5.
Wow. Alex, 8.5 for Chris Pine's junk. So I think that's
a 10 I think is pretty hard to achieve.
Have you ever seen a 10 on film?
No.
What's the closest? We did celebrity dicks back in the day.
Yeah,
the
we
highest
did.
I think was Siegel in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, I don't remember what it looked like.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But I think we rated his highest, and Michael Fassbender had another one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he had a big one. Anyways, so that was again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to make sure you did that.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure you saw his penis.
All right. Anyways, so speaking of heroes, Alex's hero is any man who shows his penis on film. My heroes are people that in the face of incredible danger still show incredible bravery. It is Veterans Day, and oftentimes, I remember on the Steeler game, I went to the Steeler game this past week with the Carolina Panthers, kicked the holy crap out of them. It was a lot of fun. And I saw during they have lots of, Army guys come out. So they had these two guys who were Medal of Honor winners.
Okay.
These are the baddest of the bad dudes.
Yeah.
And they come walking out, and they're kind of old dudes. And there's this one in a sweater, and he just kind of looks like your grandpa, whatever like that. And so he sat there and he's waving, and everyone's cheering really, really loud. But I was sitting there they just started to describe what he did. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of just like, okay, what did this guy do? And he goes, he graduated from Duquesne University, went to Vietnam, eventually became the head of a platoon.
Okay.
His platoon was pinned down. No one could see this machine gun nest. And so he thought, oh my God, I got to do something because I'm in charge of these people and I got to get us out of here. We got to find out where this damn thing is. So he exposed himself to the machine gun fire so that everyone else could see where it is. And when the guy started to open fire on him, he pulled out like an RPG and blew up the entire freaking machine gun nest all by himself. And they were like, yeah, Medal of Honor winner.
Damn.
And I'm sitting there, and this guy looks like a guy who'd be like, walking with his wife in a Target.
Yeah.
And this guy's like a certified bad dude.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and so speaking of bad dudes, this woman who just passed away is a total bad dude. I'm going to get her name. Her name is Freddie Overstegen. She's a Dutch woman. Here's the story, and I think this would be a sweet story. I think this, Alex, this could be your first, starring role, okay? Here's the pitch. This really happened. So the Netherlands gets invaded by the Germans.
Yeah.
She's not having it.
Right.
14-year-old girl.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Super hot, though.
Yeah.
So she goes up to the Dutch resistance and says, hey, I'm super hot. What can we do? Even though I'm only 14.
Yeah.
What she would do, she would be riding around town looking all hot in front of the German soldiers. Get them to where they'd come close, reach out under her skirt, pull out a gun, boom, shoot them right away. She was like doing this guerrilla style, so no one was catching her. Then she would go to bars. Remember, she's like 14, 15, 16 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Seduce German officers. Sit there and be like, hey, would you like to go into the woods? Which in 1940 Netherlands is like, hey, you want to go to my place?
Yeah.
Go into the woods, and she would say, and I would liquidate the enemy.
Oh.
She did this throughout the war.
Did they say how many people that she actually killed?
I don't know. They didn't give a number, probably because she didn't want to talk about it. But she just passed away this week at 92.
She's a badass.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if they made the Freddie Argensnargen story, that you could be Freddie Argensnargen.
I would totally do it. I think I might have to have some kind of accent, though.
It's an American. You can't do a Dutch accent?
No.
Okay, but you could get a linguist person to help you out or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll learn.
Yeah, and then you
For
learn.
Freddie, I would.
Yeah, and then you learn, and then you do the Freddie Schnargen story.
Yeah. I want to
think-
do this at some point in my life.
What, just go up to German shoulders and shoot them even now?
No, not now.
Okay.
But I want to do something along that line, like save the world by seducing people.
Seducing men and then taking them to the woods and shooting them and saying, what would be your catchphrase? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, "Hasta the vista, baby." What would you do to the German soldiers?
Oh.
You'd just be like, "I came, you didn't." Boom, or something like that.
Wow.
There.
That's terrible.
I don't know.
That's terrible.
That's just off the top of my head. What would you be your? What would be your? You gotta have a catchphrase.
Yeah, I don't know.
How do you like these paired? You whip out two guns and you go boom. Why am I coming up? Well, you got to come up with some freaking catchphrases.
I don't know.
You sit there and just be like, oh, you think I look good in black? You know what I think you look good in? Red. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. That'd be cool.
I like that one.
I think we should option the Freddie Argensnargen story.
Oh, hello.
What?
Alexa woke up.
Oh, good for Alexa. Anyways, but I will tell you, I think that's a good idea for a movie. Also, someone else who could star in the movie is this year's People Magazine Sexiest Man Alive.
Man, I would love that movie.
Idris Elba. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
I think so.
33rd sexiest man alive. He's 46 years old. Again, proving dudes in their 40s are at their peak dude hotness.
Sure.
Now, you might sit there and say, Alex, I might be wanting me to get me some of this guy. He's recently engaged to have gotten a girl pregnant to a Canadian model just named Dione.
Yeah, she's real pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's sexiest man alive.
How old is she?
29.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Again, another dude in their 40s. What's up with the dudes in their 20s not getting sexiest man alive? Last year it was Shelton. He was in his 40s.
See, I think they're trying to do the thing with how they put, larger women on covers of magazines to make everyone feel good about themselves and
Are you questioning Idris Elba's sexiness?
No, definitely not. I do think that he is definitely, could be the sexiest man alive. I don't know. I haven't seen all the men in the world, you know, but
we got to start getting you in front of more men to get you. So I think you need to be the judge of sex. I think you need to have Alex's Sexiest Man Alive award.
seriously, who the hell judges these things? Because I want their job.
It's People magazine editors, and it's like through publicists and
But
all
I
that
mean,
kind
they're
of stuff.
always pretty much the same. You know, it's like the cover person is the person you care about, really. And then the rest of them are like pretty much the same every year.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, there's obviously,
They're
the
not
same.
going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Shelton. I had an issue with last year. I thought he wasn't anything. Your mom kind of dug him because I think she was into The Voice.
Blake Shelton. Oh,
Yeah.
he was last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, body positivity.
Yeah. But I would say Elba, I'll be like, he's one of those dudes that if he walked in the room and every woman like, oh my God, I'm like, okay, I'll give it up for that guy.
Yeah, man. And he has some charm to him, you know?
And the thing about him though is he's got he was part when I first found out about that he was British, I was shocked because he was in The Wire and
Yeah.
he had like a straight like American accent. He was just a bad dude in that movie. He was a drug dealer. And then you heard him talking about, he's like, hello, yes, when I was in The Wire. I was like, what the fuck
And
is
it's
this
like,
guy?
oh man, he just became even more beautiful.
No, then I was a little pissed off. But then, like, women are like, oh, my God, this guy's, like, freaking insano gorgeous. Now, I will say
Insano.
this. I think he would be a good choice for James Bond.
Oh, I could see it.
They talk about that this is the last of the Craig ones.
Yeah.
Because apparently he's sick of making $1 zillion every couple years doing James Bond.
He wants to do something else.
Yeah, whatever. Ask Timothy Dalton how things are going. Anyways, so, but yeah, they talked about him, and they're like, could there be a black James Bond? And it's like, that guy, yes. This
Yeah,
guy,
yeah. I
If you
think
got
he's
like
the only
T-Pain,
option.
that would be a little weird. But like, yeah, this guy could be James Bond. I would believe this guy's a British secret agent. I'd watch a movie in which he was going around killing bad guys.
Yeah.
If
have
he's a
sex
trained
with
bad.
women.
Yeah, and betting. Yeah, like I would get like Russian spies would be like saying anything to like get with this dude.
Yeah. Yep.
Again, though, 33 straight years, no really true double-chinned fat guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blake Shelton was the best you could get.
Yeah. I'm still holding on to obese male monthlies.
At least you have older men now, so like you have that hope.
But even back in the day, like I think true like sexiness, dude-wise, really doesn't hit till you're like 35. 22-year-old dude. Like if you look at like Leo DiCaprio when he was 22, he looked like a boy.
Oh, I loved him.
No,
then.
now you got to be like old school 46, 40. I think he's like 44. Now he's getting the 23-year-old models and he can handle it. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Back when he was in the Pussy Patrol, that's what he was actually. Him and Tobey Maguire and a bunch of people. That was their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually
Yeah.
got in like T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, I still am putting myself up. Maybe there's got to be like a heavyweight division.
I mean, maybe if they did maybe like the sexiest podcasters alive.
I think I'm up there.
Sexiest male podcasters alive.
I would say that because
I mean, I don't think you have a ton of competition.
because
you know?
there's not a lot of attractive
They're
men
doing
podcasts.
podcasting for a reason.
Yeah. I'd say sexiest podcast heavyweight division, I think I'm a cinch. Like I'd be the only one in that league.
Yeah.
And honestly, only because of this haircut.
Yeah.
Really proud of this
That's
haircut.
it.
Thank you very much. Anyways, Alex, that was news and notes. Thank you very much for that. Now, our last segment of the day, which would be, why are you shaking your head?
We don't have any comments.
There you go. Good. See ya. That's the end of the show. Gotta help. Anyways, thank you very much. Next week, we have a special guest. Ron Placone will be calling in. He's a comedian from Los Angeles. He'll be doing a show at Ham Bones closer to Thanksgiving, and we'll be doing a special Thanksgiving episode, Alex.
Ah.
I don't know what we're going to do.
Eat turkey. Let's just have a whole, 2 hours of us eating turkey.
I would
Let's
love
see
that.
how much turkey we can eat before we fall asleep. I don't want to compete against you. I lied. I don't. I take all of that back.
Literally, next week's show will just be us going over what we want to eat on Thursday. It's
next
weird.
Week isn't. Wait, is next week?
Yes.
Oh, I guess next week is.
Yes.
Damn it.
Isn't that weird? Thanksgiving this year is really early. It's really hitting us in the face.
It's not early. It's the same time.
I know, but it feels like it's like we had no fall. We had like 80 degrees like 3 days ago.
Oh, my hair's gonna be different next week.
Oh,
I'm getting it done on Monday just for this.
just for Thanksgiving or for the Thanksgiving episode?
For the Thanksgiving episode, it's super fall-like. So even though it
Ooh.
doesn't feel like fall outside, I really hope all the leaves stay on the trees.
They're not. It's gonna be.
I just want just one tree that there's some leaves on it, so I can take a picture before they all fall off.
With your hair, is that a little
Yeah.
hint of what color it'll be?
What color do you think it'll be based on leaves?
Probably orange.
No. It's going to be yellowy. It's going to be a marigold color.
A
if you can
marigold?
picture that.
Black and yellow. People are just going to think you're a huge Steeler fan.
No, I know. Finally, people will be like, oh, she has Steelers hair now.
Is that the level of yellow that you're getting?
No. I don't know. I don't know what it'll look like. We'll see.
We'll see. That's what we're talking about. Turkey. We'll have Ron Placone. We'll have new hair. It'll be an amazing show. Thank you, everyone who keeps listening. And for anyone who keeps going to my shows, let me give you a show. This weekend, I'm not going to have a show because here's the big deal. My brother, Tim, his Pine Richland Rams are in the Whippeal Championship.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I will be I'm making sure that I am available because this is the first time he's been in 2 other Whippeal Championships and have never had a chance to go. It's the first time I'm going to have a chance to go.
Tell him we're proud of him.
We are very proud of him, and I will tell him that Alex is proud of him, and he'll be like, who? Anyways, it is the Mike Sasson Show. Thank you very much, Alex, for being the wonderful producer that you are, and keep listening to The River's Edge at www.riversedgepgh.com. We'll be back next week with turkey-related things and Ron Placone. See you later. Bye.